All right, y'all. Uh, okay, so today what I want to talk about is just kind of stepping into the shoes of a leader who's facing what I like to consider a common challenge, which is building trust. Um, I say that specifically because I feel like trust is a fundamental aspect of leadership, but it's actually really complex. So if you imagine yourself, when you're in a position where you're trying to build trust and respect, whether it be from a team, significant other, and so forth, like the question I always ask is like, how would you actually approach it? And that's kind of what I want to do here. I want to go based off of like a scenario based situation here, though, to really help you all understand the fundamentals of, basic trust. So let's just say you're leading a team with a whole bunch of different personalities, and there's basically let's say, a lack of cohesion for people, or just a hesitancy for people to engage. And you really know that trust is going to be the foundation of this team. My question is, how do you deal with that? Do you focus on dependability? Do you focus on approachability? Or do you focus on respect? Now, if you focus on dependability, you're going to want to see what's consistent and reliable. So you got to ask yourself, do you promise your team to provide them with the necessary resources for, I don't know, any project? Like ensuring that they have the resources to be able to deliver things on time and as promised. And like, do you follow through on your commitments, no matter how small or how big they are? I feel like that's huge because you set the stage and you build that reputation for reliability. So it's another way to build trust, because what you're doing is you're showing them that, hey, I can also be dependent on, however you want to say it. So if we really pause and look at this, you have to ask, why is dependability so crucial? It's because it establishes credibility. When you're consistently delivering on your promises, your team, your partners, or whatever, they're going to know that your word is bond. Word to mothers, man. Not, but for real. Um, you start to build that like reliable environment, and then trust can actually flourish. But you also have to know that as you deliver on your promises and commitments, you have to be consistent. And you want to be someone that your other people can count on no matter what the situation is. But do you build a reputation for integrity and follow through? It's up to you. I think you should. Now, the other thing I mentioned was approachability. I think it's one of those things where like your energy, your kindness, your friendliness, all that is huge when it comes to building trust as a leader. So just imagine that you're making effort to connect with your team on different personal levels. You do things like take time to listen, ask them about their family, their concerns, celebrate their wins, show genuine interest, all of the above. But you really do that to create this like open door policy. That's what I'm really big on. You have to allow them to ask questions, and then realize that it's not being overly familiar. It's actually about creating comfortability and being approachable. Because when people see you as a person they can actually connect with, they're going to be more likely to trust your leadership. And I'm kind of zipping through some of this because I literally have been going through this with my current team. And some of the things that I noticed is that, like with other leaders, approachability actually doesn't matter to them. But then what they lose is this sense of connection and belonging with the other people on the team. So if you're not approachable, are you able to make your team feel like they can share their ideas and their concerns? Do you feel like you are creating a collaborative and supportive environment where trust is actually built on genuine relationships? That's what you need to ask. You have to be able to build connection with your team members, because what that does, it actually opens this like welcoming environment. And that's what you want to get, is an environment of like just openness, right? And continue to show that genuine interest in your team's actual well-being. Now, the other thing I'm big on is respect. That's across the board. Work, life, women, whatever. Respect. You get what you give is how I like to see it. And a lot of times, respect is shown during decision-making processes. That's how I like to think about when I'm thinking about the work world. Like, how do you acknowledge and appreciate other people for their contributions? Even if you don't agree, do you create a safe space for diverse opinions and perspectives? Do you actually ensure everyone feels heard and valued? Because if you don't, you need to ask yourself, do you realize that doing this will show your team the respect and expertise that they have in their insights? So this light is like beaming right now because the sun is like right over here. So ignore the switcheroo that's going on. Um, it's a little distracting, but anyways, like I said, what you want to do is consider the practical application of asking these questions when it comes to respect. Like, why is respect so essential? It's because it actually demonstrates your value, your team's contributions, and their ownership. Something just went off. I mean, there's a lot going on right now, y'all. But anyways, we're gonna keep working. Um, like I said, you want to show that your team is able to be engaged. Now, ironically, the other thing I did want to mention is like active listening. Hence, everything is going on right now. Like, are you actually listening to your team? What I realize is a lot of times leaders like to talk more than listen. And to me, what that does is actually it shows a lack of appreciation. Do you feel like you acknowledge and appreciate your team's contributions, or do you just like hear things that go in one ear and out the other? I feel like if you're constantly and consistently applying these principles of active listening and so forth, then you're going to be able to get a team that's more engaged and collaborative and trusting. People will start to see you more as a leader. Do they see you as a leader now? Do people see you as someone they can connect with and someone they respect? Do you realize that this isn't just about being liked? It's actually about building a foundation of trust that helps your people thrive because you become a leader who inspires confidence and drives success. That's what I keep saying. You got to realize that building trust is going to be an ongoing process. But if you're focusing on dependability, approachability, respect, and all those other good things, you can actually become a leader that people trust and follow. Now, kind of keep these ones short, but if you do want to learn more about effective leadership and building trust, go ahead and subscribe to this channel, like this video, share it with someone, and join the community. The goal here is really to continue to provide this kind of content and tips and insights and blah, 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 all from my actual work experience. So, yeah, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate y'all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.